Do you realize the amount of people, the number of people that make money off of our ignorance as black people? That financial literacy is so big in our community because we don't know how to deal with money. It's difficult because how you deal with money at one level is going to be different than how you deal with money at another level. But in some ways, it's the same, right? The basic principles of pay yourself first. Always pay yourself first. Well, pay your tithes, pay yourself, and then pay everybody else. Like, that's universal regardless of where you're at. What changes at the different levels is how your money is made and whether you're the one that's making the money or whether your investments are the one that's making the money for you. Right? That's when you become a true capitalist. A true capitalist is someone who utilizes money in order to make money, who utilizes assets as a way to make money, who utilizes money as a proxy for labor. Somebody who's part of the working class utilizes their labor in order to get money. And somebody that is a part of the capitalist class is one that makes money from their investments. This is why businesses, stocks, bonds, crypto, why all those things are so important is because the moment that you touch or the moment that you enter into or you get a real taste of what it's like to be a capitalist, you start to understand the importance of money as it pertains to your freedom. So right now, as workers, we're trading our time for money. And when you enter into the capitalist class, you're trading money to get more time, to buy back some of your time. So instead of you being the one that fixes your car, you're paying somebody else to fix your car because your time is much more valuable doing something else. And it's recognizing where at that point in your life are you able to delegate those things. You're able to delegate whether or not you do the repairs on your house, whether or not you cook for yourself, whether you drive yourself to where you go. You start to get into these upper echelons of what you're delegating out because your time becomes that much more valuable. But the way that you know that your time has become that much more valuable is because you actually have the cash flow coming in. You actually have the assets to back it up. And so instead of you focusing on things that are unimportant, right? You're now able to focus on the things that are important and urgent. You got the 4 quadrants. You got urgent, non-urgent, important, non-important. So everything that's urgent and important, that's what you spend your time on. Then you have the important but not urgent. And those are things that you can delegate, right? Then you got the not important but urgent, right? Those are things that you can delegate as well. And then the things that are non-important and non-urgent, you spend your time on. So in these 2 quadrants, right, you're delegating or you're paying somebody else to do it. So for the things that are important but not necessarily urgent, you're able to pay somebody for. And then for the things that are urgent and important, you pay somebody else to go do. When you start getting into that level where you're able to make those kinds of decisions, life looks differently. And you stop focusing on petty stuff. And I think for the black community, where we get messed up is that the people that we see that have money are usually artists and entertainers, and those are folks that display their flaws in the worst of fashions. And so we think that these people are smart with their money because they have money. But no, what it is, they've been given a lot of money and may not necessarily, they just have guardrails around their money. We just don't have a real concept of what real money looks like. I remember the first time that I ever held $100,000 or $200,000 check, I was like 15 or 16. And I was like, yo, this is different. The first time that I negotiated $1 million deal, I was in my late 20s. Right, going up into these different echelons of trying to move from being in the working class to being part of the capital class. And trust me, it is a challenge. It is a challenge because you're making the right moves, you're making the right steps, and you're trying to keep your mind focused on only the things that actually matter instead of all the other stuff that doesn't matter. You know, what doesn't matter? Being involved in social movements and trying to save people and then trying to save them from themselves, trying to save them from their bad decisions. Heck no. Heck no. You want to know why? Because who's going to be there to save you from your bad decisions? Who's going to be there to save you from your mistakes while you're up trying to rise? Hopefully you have somebody. Hopefully you have the kind of circle that is able to help you when you make mistakes in those areas. Right? But what about for the people that continue to make mistakes, that want to make mistakes, that aren't trying to learn from their mistakes? Right? When you spend a lot of your time and energy on those kinds of folks, man, it will leave the sourest taste in your mouth, the baddest smell in your nose, the ickiest feeling on your body, the ugliest sight you'd ever want to see. And it's something that you try to get the hell away from. At least I know I have. I think about those things because we all out here just trying to get paper. We all out here trying to make money, trying to make things happen, and trying to be in a place where we are wealthy enough to live out our values. Where we are wealthy enough in order to get us to sell out, that you have to pay a very, very, very high price. Right? Like when we look at the stuff that goes on with ICE, a lot of people can have problems with ICE and this, that, and the third, right? But what you aren't going to tell those people that are working for ICE, where else are they going to make $90,000, $100,000 with federal benefits and federal retirement? Where else are they going to do that? These people have children to feed and have mortgages and rent to pay and college tuition to pay and medical bills to pay. And they just found a way that allows them to do it and takes advantage of their particular skills, their particular expertise, their energy, and all those things. Here in America, we're all just trying to survive. And for the few of us that have found ways of thriving economically, we're trying to maintain that and be able to pass that on to our children. It's one of the most difficult things to do. It's very difficult, very challenging. Because you have to be educated, you have to be willing to make mistakes, and hopefully that the mistakes that you make don't set you back too far and that you're able to recover quickly from those mistakes. And you know, it's a lot.